Hello, and be here now, the Peaceful Empowerment Show, where presence provides perspective and allows peace. Our topic today is when does perfectionism become self-sabotage? But before that, we are coming to you live on the new streamingnetwork.com, home of goingboldmedia.com, goingsolomedia.com, and WGSN-DB Going Solo Radio. If you like our content, please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I am your co-host, Judy Forder, and I am here with my co-host in peace, Miss
Janice Leonard. Hey. Hi, Judy. Things go? How's everything going?
Oh, much better now.
Oh, good. So good.
Yes.
We're so glad to have everyone here with us and sharing our time in peace. Every week we do this. We do this because we love it. We like to hopefully help everybody make a little difference. I hope everybody find some peace. We hope to make a difference. There you go. We we are a 501c3 nonprofit, which means donations are tax deductible. So if you are able, go to our website, www.peacefulempowermentworks.org. And we have a button on the top of the page and the bottom of the page. And we appreciate any help to pay our operations.
Amen. Yes, we would. All right. All right, Miss Janice, how about you bring us in?
Oh, yeah.
In through your nose, out through your mouth. I can really feel that in my head today.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, I feel it a lot in my head. Is right. All right. So, Janice, what do you have for us this week with good news?
Good news. I felt a very intense week. I felt big appreciations and big feelings. And I saw this one. This is this little boy here. And I'll try to do a little brief before and after for those who can't see it. But he's a bald-haired young man. I'm going to guess 12-ish, 13-ish, who knows. And he's walking down like a hospital hallway. And people are on the sides clapping for him. And go ahead, Silverio, over to you. Oh, that's so sweet. So he's walking down the hallway. What it is what he finished his chemotherapy. And apparently at this facility, they go down and they ring a bell. And he goes down to ring the bell and he starts getting very touched with emotion and starts like cry. And his little baby sister comes up to him and hugs his leg. Then he stands up and he rings the bell. His chemotherapy is done.
Ugh. You know, I can't imagine a child going through it. My mom had colon cancer, and that treatment is so harsh and hard on your system. To watch a child go through that, I can't even imagine. So what a happy story that is. You know, be able to be finished those treatments and ring that bell and know that he read something that his whole life was ahead of him. So that's cool.
Oh, that's right. On the bell, there's a saying. Sorry. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. You were in it this week, feeling some hard feelings, huh?
Yeah. Very, very intense week.
Yeah. All right. So I am excited to announce that our weekly affirmation is a Janice Gogan Leonard original. Yes. Who knows? We'll have a card deck coming soon with affirmations from Janice.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Let's see. There we go. It, it's kind of felt in the theme with the topic. So
Mhm.
I no longer see the world, good or bad, succeed or fail, right or wrong, perfect or worthless. I see the world with love and compassion.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. This topic this week about perfectionism, that's one of my biggies. So it's got me thinking a lot. And so this is my goal. This is my affirmation that I will, and I am getting out of seeing things quite so.
Everything
I don't,
isn't
I
so.
don't
Yeah.
yeah,
When I read it, I was like, yeah, that's just a statement to the fact that everything isn't black and white. And I just kept hearing judgment. You're affirming that you no longer see the world through judgmental eyes, and
yeah,
you're seeing it through the scope of your heart with compassion and love. And I love that.
yeah.
That's
And
beautiful.
one of the things I realized this week is there's so many levels too. Is it could be I need perfection in my job, but it's also really deeper and need perfection in myself and how that's affected me in my life. So I'm looking
Hmm.
forward to this topic today.
All right, well, then let's scoot right to our pearls of wisdom. Our pearls of wisdom for today. Um, Everything we do is infused with the energy with which we do it. If we're frantic, life will be frantic. If we're peaceful, life will be peaceful. And so our goal in any situation becomes inner peace. Hmm.
Mm.
Now, I picked that one because, like, Janice has had big feelings this week. um, I've had an experience that I'm sure will be talked about on many different levels as these lessons become clearer to me. My dog ran away, and Janice and I have known each other for a couple of years now, and she knows that I introduce myself as not a dog person. Well, my dog ran away. My dog that I saw 9 years ago, and I don't know, something in me said, you need to have him. And so I got him. And anybody that knew me was like, what is going on? This isn't you. What's happening? And what was going on was I was in a period of my life where I didn't feel like anybody else loved me, which, to say is to hear it is crazy, but that's how I felt. That's where I was. And the minute I saw that dog, I was like, I have to have him. He'll love me. And he has. Well, he went missing on Friday afternoon, Friday morning, actually. And there had been no sightings of him since Sunday. So it has been a roller coaster ride. And I was frantic. And we talk a lot about when you're in fight or flight, you can't access your tools. And that's where I was. I was very frantic. I couldn't get out of my own way. And it was a lot of desperate scrambling for finding anything I could to feel like I was contributing to trying to bring him back home. And it wasn't until I could find some peace within myself then I couldn't connect with him. I couldn't connect with my higher self. I couldn't access any of the tools that we talk about on this show. And I was in straight up fight or flight. And I haven't been that deep in fight or flight in many years. Thank goodness. But it
Mm.
was a great reminder of just how paralyzing being in that zone one can be. So I am an active testament to when things are crazy, sit down, get present, find that peaceful space, because then everything becomes accessible to you again. Then I could use my tools. I could connect with soul, and I could reach out to people that could do the same. And we found this Find Toby organization that is amazing. And when this is all said and done, I'd love to have the woman that's been working with us come on the show and explain, how she got there and what she's been doing and how she does it, because they were able to come in with this framework. And they didn't tell us what to do and what not to do. It wasn't militant like that. It's like, look, this is what has worked for us. Bottom line is, he's your dog. So you do whatever your heart guides you to do. This is what's been successful for us. And being in that frantic state, having somebody step in that peaceful, calm energy with a framework of a plan is what really helped me. So that's where this pearl of wisdom came from, because I am actively doing it right now at a depth that is much deeper than how I've been moving through life for the past couple of years. So,
Isn't that something for someone who's not a dog lover?
Yes, and one of the big things is that old, outdated belief and is bullshit. I am a dog person. I'm coming out of the closet. So anybody who knows watching, shock and awe, I am a dog person.
I never understood that conflict, so I'm getting it now.
Yeah, Janice said, I would say I'm not a dog person. And in her mind, she's like, that just doesn't match. Well, that's fine, Janice. You knew I was full of bullshit. You just didn't call me out on it.
Yeah, no, it didn't make sense. But
so, yes, he has been spotted. He is not home yet, but he has been spotted by the Humane Trap by video and camera this morning. And so if anybody out there feels so guided to send prayers and positive energy and vibes to send him to that trap so we can get him home soon, it would be greatly appreciated.
One thing I didn't get, and you probably just want to share, is the fact that he's in fight or flight now, and how that's affecting your ability to catch him.
Yes, that was something that the Find Toby organization, those people were able to tell us, because he is in fight or flight as well. Because you think, and he's not food motivated. So you can't lure him with food or anything like that. He's in this state of fight or flight. So everybody and everything is a predator. So you would think he'd recognize my voice. He'd be able to smell me. Well, no, when he's in fight or flight, none of that is accessible to him either. That's why he's been running for days. I mean, we're on 6 days now that he's been out in the wild. So that's just something to remember. Should you all, dog lovers, have a pet, get out. Think about that, because they're in fight or flight as well. And they're like, the best thing you do is you sit and draw them to you. You don't chase. But yeah, that was a lesson that had to be learned. Because natural instinct is to call out, clap. I mean, we were driving around the neighborhood doing all the wrong things. Driving around the neighborhood, hollering for them, clapping, flashlights. We did all the wrong things to start. But now, we have some guidance, and we know what our job is. Stay the hell home and let him come to the trap. Yeah. So that's where we are. We're in that sit and wait period, which patience. I kept hearing one of the lessons I was to learn was patience. And I was like, well, this is insane. I am not very good at patience. It's still a lesson that I'm learning. Yeah. And so like I said, there's a lot of lessons coming up, and once I am able to process all of them, I'm sure I'll share them on the show. But yeah, it's been a hell of a week, I tell you. The lessons are coming hard and fast. So find that peaceful space.
Yeah.
When everything is crazy and chaotic, get present, find that peaceful space so that you can access the tools to start making those lessons known.
Got to get rid of that energy. I tell you, my stomach's a little tense.
Yeah, poor Janice. She's been through this story twice. I was on late because we were doing things, and I brought her up to speed. We might need to ring that bowl again.
Well, I think it's just triggering, and maybe that's part of what's happened to me this week, is it's triggering my loss issues in that, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was very interesting. My dog is out there running around, and yesterday was a terrible day, just a terrible day. And it had been since Sunday, since anybody had seen him. We have flyers all over town, no sightings. So I'm like, oh my God, he's dead. He's dead. He's not coming home. He's dead. And if that's the case, somehow I have to find peace in it. But I need to find his, I need to see him. And I didn't think I'd launch into this, but I'm being guided to share. So we talk a lot about how your mind creates your reality. And I woke up 3:00 this morning, and I just kept saying, you know what? No, if I can create my reality, this is not the way this is going to end. And I just started repeating over and over and over again. I align with the highest timeline where all lessons are learned and Bruno comes home. And I just said it repeatedly for the next 4 hours. And Jen and I got up. We've been doing hot beverages on the porch, looking for him. My brother got up, got in his truck, drove around his normal route, and he called me 5 minutes later. He was like, I see him. He's right in the development where he was Saturday, and he's headed back to the field where I saw him on Sunday. So, we talk about miracles. We talk about changing your mindset, aligning with what it is that you want to draw near. People, like I said, this is all fresh and still happening, but miracles are happening all along, all around. And 4 hours of me repeating that mantra over and over and over and over and over again. In my heart, I know miracles are happening. Because yesterday I surrendered. And I was like, okay, I found peace in that sadness. And I was talking with Chris, and she said, Judy, you can be at peace and still be sad. And it gave me permission to stop that frantic energy of, I just need to find him. I just need to find him, and find that peace within myself. And then it allowed me to access those tools that we talk about on here. No, this is not my reality. This is not the way this is going to end. So I'm coming out again as crazy. It may sound crazy to some too, but this is what we do. This is what we do. We don't just, sit here and put pretty slides up and tell you all this is what you should do or could do. This is what we actively do in our lives. And once I was able to find that peace, I was able to access that space in my mind where I could align and create this energy to bring him home. And we have so many people praying for him to return as well, on top of that, with the flyers all over town. And I mean, it's been reposted over 1,000 times on Facebook and things like that. So there is an awful lot of love, support, and prayers for this little guy to get his butt home. So, am I saying it's the mantra that I said over and over again? Honestly, people, I don't know at this point. There's so much love and energy and prayers and support being funneled to him and us that I am sure every single one of it has a part to play in this. So I will share my gratitude to all of you now that have been praying. Please keep it up. He's not home yet, but he's getting safer, feeling safer around the trap. And he definitely has a pattern that he's running. So we are extremely hopeful. Yeah. So on that note, I think maybe we'll break for commercial. We'll be right back. Today's topic: when does perfectionism become self-sabotage? Mm-hmm. Thank you for
Ah,
again. Woo! I was like, I can't believe I just went into all that, but hey, that's what we were meant to talk about.
mm, yeah.
Woo! All
Well,
right.
I tell you, it just brings up so many feelings and emotions for me. So for
Well,
you, I mean, me for you, and me for me.
do you want to talk about what's coming up for you or no?
Um, one of the things is just dealing with loss.
Mm-hmm.
I have this thing, like like if you leave a job or whatever, I'd like shut people out after. Okay, they're gone, and this is the way I've dealt with loss. I think my entire life, and
Mm-hmm.
even like that's okay. That's not healthy. I remember my freshman year in college, I had the best friend I've ever had. And like by the end of the year, I felt like she was getting sick of me because I didn't have any tools back then. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to find a different roommate for next year,
Mm-hmm. Oh,
because I have to leave her before she leaves me, right?
mm-hmm.
So I did, and that's one of the greatest regrets because you know, I could have had such a great friendship, but it could have lasted longer and built stronger and longer. But
Right.
we still were friends, but I cut it off. So I
It
had
was.
this self-sabotaging thing
Ha
that I do, and even like this, sadly, like with my daughter. When she grew up, she was growing up, she was like, oh, she filled my heart, which of course, the mother-daughter relationship I never had. And it was probably not the healthiest thing, but it was great. I had such an incredible relationship experience with her. And then, she turned 17, 18 and had a boyfriend. And then she moved out the day after she turned 18.
Oh, wow.
And that loss was so traumatic for me. And, I went through the kind of stalking her, parking outside her apartment for a little while, to just, okay, fine. She doesn't want me, yeah. And and I'd call her every night and she didn't want that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, and then, I read somewhere that, the closer you are as a child, the more you have to push, to become independent,
Mm-hmm.
closer you are with your parent. So I was like, okay, maybe. But then, okay, so I had to deal with reality, and I had to I blocked her out.
Mm-hmm.
And I still struggle to this day to have feelings. It's like it hurts still so much. And it's like, okay, well, she's too busy with her own life. I'm not important. But then you get, oh, okay. So then you get the self-sabotaging. You've got there's so much in this experience that I'm thinking about that
Mm-hmm.
relate to the topic and the points you're saying. And it's just and just like you're talking about your dog, leaving. And I know that we've had a dog, I can't handle it, my dog running away. So we don't, I barely do anything. Like you had the posts, and I remember in the past we've had dogs run away,
Mm-hmm.
and I just had to shut down. I could not do anything about it. So
Yeah.
it's so interesting to me, when I listen to your story. So this is what it brings up for me is how I deal with loss, and I try. I'm struggling. I am getting so much healthier. I can't commit to
Yes.
saying I am, but in trying to be able to like love my daughter, feel love for my daughter,
Mm-hmm.
and still not have her be the way I wish it was.
Yeah.
And believe that it's not black and white. It's not, okay, she doesn't care about me.
Right.
Okay, she loves me. She loves me to the best way she can now. And I have to say that over, but I still, yeah, I don't like, I'm trying to say this in a positive way.
Just say it,
I,
Janice.
I still have a lot of work to do because that it's so deep, that fear of loss, or that loss thing, that I can't feel it. I remember people like us in college, and this dorm mate died, and I was friends with him. We dated a couple times, and I remember my best friend was
Mm-hmm.
crying and going to the dining hall crying, and I was like, what is she doing? She didn't even know him.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was doing the judgment thing because I was like,
Right.
I'm the one. And this is the same thing like with my mother, because I was the baby of the family. They tried to, keep me away to protect me, from
Mm-hmm.
my mother's loss. And And then my brothers and sisters, they're growing up. I'm sure they felt like you don't even know because you don't even remember. You don't have the loss. So I always have this thing is, well, I have a loss too. So I remember like thinking, this is my loss. Hey, this is my loss. I have a loss. So it's interesting. So yeah, lots of feelings.
Yeah. Yeah. That I know you've been working on the abandonment, the whole I'm gonna get rid of you before you get rid of me. And that, you lost your mother at 3 years old. In your mind, because your brothers and sisters were older, everybody grew up and left. And they did. They grew up, they left, they have lives of their own. And the one thing I keep hearing about your daughter, and it's a shift in mindset, is look at what an incredible job you did. Because she's a strong, independent woman.
Yes, she is.
She's a strong, independent woman out there doing her thing, sharing her light and love with the world because of the strong foundation and love that you gave her. And it's difficult.
I hope so.
You don't have to hope. It's the truth. You see it. You see her. And she sees you. And I know that we've talked about that, desperate energy is something that to give a visual to desperate energy is like the clawing, desperation. We don't want to lose. We don't want to lose. And what we end up doing is pushing further away, which it's hitting me right now, which ties right along with you don't chase the dog. We don't chase what it is we love. We sit in that love space and allow it to come to us because that desperate energy chases it away. I desperately want it to get.
Yeah, and I think I've chased people away. Too, because my neediness, I'll just say, and I'm saying this based on a conversation. See, is it real? Ask yourself the question, is this true? But in high school, I was in the library once. I can't believe I remember this. And there was like 4 or 5 of us girls at a table, and we were talking about what's the worst feature of each of us. Don't ask me why we did that, but we did. Like you'd say about somebody else,
Right.
And this one girl said that I was too needy.
Oh.
And I like to this day, I think that's probably one of the things that makes me push away too, is because I don't want people to know or see how needy I am.
Right. Right. Well, yeah. When we don't feel like we have any type of worth, then we depend on other people to show us what our worth is. And, that is something that I know just since I have met you, that is definitely shifting in your life. So I feel like this whole pattern of pushing people away before you feel like they're going to push you away is coming to an end. That's why it's coming up so much right now.
Oh, good.
Because, you're understanding that you're learning, growing, and evolving. And now with your declaration, your affirmation that you created for us today of releasing the judgment, you're not only releasing judgment of situations, experiences out there in the world, but judgment of people and judgment of yourself. So when you can release that judgment, then there's no fear of people leaving because you understand that they're growing and evolving as well. And it doesn't mean they're outgrowing you. It means that gives space for our relationships to shift and transition and transform into that of love, kindness, truth, and respect. That's what you're creating in your life, Janice. You're doing such a beautiful job with the awareness that you have and how you're moving through your life. And your gratitude videos every single day, I think, is playing a very big part in your shifting even quicker now. Yeah. So well done.
Ooh, big feelings.
Big feelings. Yep. You're not running from them. You're feeling them. And that is something to celebrate. Definitely. You've declared since I met you, you wanted to be more present and you wanted to stay in it so that you can move through the feelings. And that's exactly what you're doing.
It's so funny. My husband's got this thing now. He's like, I guess I sleep in. I used to get up with him. He gets up like 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock. I used to get up with him. We'd have our morning cup of coffee together. I just don't feel like it. I want to. Well, he's laid off in the winter, so he gets to take Adriana to. She could take a bus, but he takes her to school. He chooses that.
Yes.
So he says to me, he's just worried about it because he doesn't understand sleeping in. He's like, get up and go. What's wrong with you? Are you okay? But he says to me, I'm worried about you. I'm just worried. I said, I'm worried that you're not happy. I'm like, I think I'm not unhappy.
Right. But wasn't that a pattern of yours in the past?
Yeah, I'd sleep. I take a lot of naps and that. That's true.
Yeah,
But I said to him, I'm just trying to figure out who I am. And what I want to do. This is. She's like, well, he tries. He's such a cutie.
Yeah, and I feel like it's triggered that old pattern in him, because to him, when you did that, that meant you were in a bad place, and he doesn't want you to be in a bad place.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's great that you're able to say, I'm just trying to figure out who I am. It's okay.
Yeah. Yep.
That is great. All right. Let's move on to perfectionism, because Janice isn't familiar with that at all.
Yeah.
She was like, oh, I got a lot about the topic.
And it's funny because I actually sharing my story, I've shared a lot of these concepts already.
That's okay. Go back and revisit. Yeah. I like to do this is what I Googled and found. Perfectionism is characterized by high standards, rigid expectations, and specific ideas about how to achieve a desired outcome. Perfectionists tend to be driven, organized, and reliable, but can also become overly anxious and critical when their expectations are unmet. Does any of that land with you, Janice?
Oh my God. Yes. I as a perfectionist, it's so funny. The thing that came to my head is, yeah, but you're not perfect. But what that comment is that's a comment about how I want to be perfect, but yet I'm not perfect. So I put myself down.
Huh?
Whoa. Yeah.
Overly anxious and critical.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So this is self-sabotage, involves any attitude or behavior that doesn't match your values or interferes with the ability to achieve life goals. We all do things that get in the way of our progress. However, self-sabotage is a pattern that creates ongoing problems, preventing you from moving forward and facing change successfully.
Yeah. Big switch help me get to switches. The question, but is that true? When I start getting anxious and saying things in my head, yeah, but is it true? Well, he probably loves me anyway. Yeah, he probably loves me. Yeah, well, he loves me, but is it true?
You're able to talk your way through it, though, with the is it true? I tell you, it really is. It's a pattern stopper. And that was a big one. I kept asking about the dog, because I would, Jen's the dog person. And then it was like, is that true? If that was true, why the hell are you so upset?
I tell you, you're
froze.
I was going to say, you're frozen on my screen. So can Silverio verify if it's me?
If we want to go to the next slide, Silverio, we'll see when Janice can get back to us. Or am I frozen?
I don't know.
Uh-oh.
Well, I can see you now and I can hear you. So.
All right. I'm not sure what's happening. There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Back. All right.
It's you.
Doing this in the pregame meeting.
One of us keeps freezing up and we don't know who it is.
Exactly. Okay. So perfectionism, all or nothing thinking. Almost perfect is a failure. Being highly critical, spots mistakes and imperfections. Janice and I were laughing about this because she was looking at herself before the show, like talking about her face and her hair, spotting imperfections. Feeling pushed by fear, pushed by a fear of anything less than a perfectly met goal. Yeah, so getting close. It's like I keep hearing, second place is the first place loser. That kind of mindset. Having unrealistic standards, setting initial goals out of reach, focused only on results, nothing else matters, only the end product, feeling depressed by unmet goals. So if it doesn't work out the way you expected, then there is depression, fear of failure, which I think many, many people walk around with. Anything less than perfection is seen as failure. Procrastination. You know what, Janice? This is one that I was not aware. It makes sense now that I read about it, but I never thought procrastination went with perfectionism. So it's you worry so much about doing something imperfectly that then you fail to do anything at all.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's so true. I mean, that's one of my things that I like, writing a paper or writing for work, writing a article or whatever you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
I put it off for friggin' ever. Even like with this, getting on, looking at the bank statements, put it off. I don't know if it's so much now, so I'll drop that example. But it used to be, because I can't do it. I mean, you want me to write something? I can't write anything.
It's going to be horrible. It's going to suck anyway. So why should I do it?
But exactly. So I have to, it has to be like do now.
Mm-hmm. Catch me in the moment. Yeah. Defensiveness, less than perfect performance is so painful and scary that they will often respond defensively to constructive criticism. Yeah. Like, oh, it wasn't good enough. Well, then screw you. Do it yourself.
I remember one boss. Was it my first job out of college? Well, my first real job, career-related job out of college. And my boss said to me, he would give me constructive feedback. That's back in the day where things weren't politically correct. And he said to me, that somebody said I did something or whatever, and he's giving me feedback. I said, yeah, but I said, but I think about that, and I blah blah blah. And he's like, well, that's part of the problem. Is you have excuses and you make up stories and go along with it. So I make up stories. I don't make up stories, but I have. But of course, I have to be perfect, and you're telling me something I'm not perfect, and yeah. Well, yeah, but I thought about it, and so he gave me that, and I've that's been a challenge. Fortunately, then I was aware of that from that point on, but I definitely am challenged by not getting great feedback.
Sure, yeah.
But I said, well, what am I supposed to do? I want to explain to you my thinking. So just say, oh, okay. Thanks for the feedback. I'll think about that. Okay.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, it's a lot like this work. You take what is said and whatever feels right to you, you keep, and you throw the rest away. Yeah.
And interesting enough, later on, I was like, I don't think blah, 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 blah likes me. And he says, well, do you ever think that maybe it has to do with your size?
Oh.
It was a very male-dominated business. And I was like, oh, my God.
Wow.
Yeah, back in the day, we get that kind of thing.
So they had a problem with short people, huh?
Yeah, they did.
Rude.
You had to be tall. Yeah. And you get those messages when you're younger by family, or even when I was first starting out, society and the work culture would still judge you by your size. And I was big all my life. So yeah, that was a lesson I learned. Okay, I need to get into a female-dominated business instead of a male-dominated one.
Yeah, interestingly, I think can be even more vicious than men.
That's interesting, because to me, probably a man saying it would mean more. Well, not mean more, it would hurt more.
It would hurt more.
Yeah.
Yeah. And which,
Male
all these
figure.
lead to low self-esteem.
Yeah.
Make you lonely, isolated due to their critical nature, and they rigidly push others away, Janice.
Yeah. I've done that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we need to release the perfectionism within you. At least that part of it, It was funny.
Yeah.
Because I was reading things. There's a difference between perfectionism and having high standards. Because
Mm.
having high standards, it's like, yes, I have this goal. It's an attainable goal. If I get close, I'm happy that I got close. All of the beating doesn't seem to happen because you give yourself more leeway.
Mm.
And understand. I'm hearing right now, it's more about understanding and enjoying the journey. Perfectionism, it's about the end product, whereas you have high standards, you want to accomplish these things. You also honor the journey that goes along with it.
It's interesting because even like my quilt, my latest quilt I'm working on, I put on a panel backwards.
Mm.
And I took the time and I unsewed it all, but now I have to sew it back up, and I haven't worked on it since. It's probably been a month.
Mm.
So even those deep seated, doesn't make any sense now. It doesn't matter now, but
Right.
it's still part of who you are.
It's that. Yep. And it's time to change beliefs.
Yep.
All right. So let's talk about self-sabotage and see what overlaps. We have 10 signs of self-sabotage. Negative self-talk. Check. Self-destructive behaviors. Check. Constantly seeking distractions or engaging in time-wasting activities. Scroll.
Check.
Oh, check. Lack of boundaries. Yeah, that's one people don't think too much about, but lack of boundaries is difficulty saying no or setting clear boundaries. Check. Holding on to limiting beliefs about oneself or the world. We are working on getting rid of those. Holding on to baggage of the past. Fear of failure. Yep. Perfectionism is self-sabotage.
Yep.
And trying to control everything. And comparing yourself to others. Check.
Oh, boy.
All of these self-sabotaging traits are things that we have and continue to actively work on. So, yeah. Awareness is key, my friends. So if you're self, now you're aware of them. And that's when we pay attention to our self-talk and ask Janice's new favorite question. Is that true? Is that true as a game stopper? It really, really is.
And
Yeah.
if you find yourself trying to convince yourself that it's true, that's a sign that it may not be true.
Yeah. Asking the question stops that emotional loop that the patterns get into and allows you to make a different choice if you would like. So, when does perfectionism become self-sabotage? When you use it as a tool to beat yourself up, is what I just heard. Whenever it's used as a tool, we're not telling people not to have, high standards and want good things for yourself or anything like that, or holding yourself accountable. We're all about holding yourself accountable and owning your experience. But if you're using these things as tools to beat yourself up, that is self-sabotage. And
Yes.
Janice and I have, which I think many of you will relate, are masters of the self-sabotaging. We've mastered that. Now we're working on mastering love, kindness, respect, and truth for ourselves.
Yeah, all of these things are true. I'd like to think I've worked on some of them and gotten better, but this is so me, these last couple slides.
This is the journey. This is what we're
Yep.
on. This is what we're doing. Our journey back to us. We are all born a spark of the Creator, and our job is to share our light and love with the world. So when we can peel these layers of self-sabotaging behaviors off and let our light shine even brighter, then we start living lives filled with joy, love, compassion, truth. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
That's what we're doing.
And the journey on the way is beautiful too.
It is.
When you see it as a journey, not as a succeed or fail thing, it's just a
Mhm.
journey. It makes it even better because you don't have to fail.
Exactly.
Okay. We got a note from Silverio.
Oh, we got to wrap it up.
Yeah.
The one little tidbit is remember everything is temporary. Just like this show for today is done because it was temporary. Thank you for choosing to be here now with us. Please always remember.
You are not alone.
And don't ever forget, you are awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today. Janice, thank
Thanks
you.
for being here. Bye.
We'll see.
Bye, everybody.